My brother told a room full of people I was a failure for still slinging drinks at 36. My own father nodded. 3 of Derek's coworkers looked uncomfortable. What they didn't know, I owned the bar. And 2 others. Combined revenue, $1.8 million. I sat there holding a glass of Costco wine in Derek's overpriced rental, which he'd implied he bought, and felt something inside me go cold. Not angry cold. Strategic cold. For 8 years, I'd hidden my success. Drove a beat-up Honda Civic. Wore Target jeans. Let them think I was scraping by on tips while my brother, Mr. Middle Management $95,000 salary, played CEO. I'd paid for their anniversary trip to Hawaii 6 months earlier. They thought I'd saved tip money for 2 years. My bar had generated $32,000 in profit that month alone. 2 days later, I invited them to Sunday brunch at my flagship restaurant. They thought I just worked there. I met them at the entrance in a tailored blazer. Welcome to Crimson and Oak. I'm Jamie Marshall, owner. The look on Derek's face when my head bartender said, "Boss, the $12,000 bourbon shipment arrived," was worth every quiet year. Before I tell you how 8 years of playing poor ended with one leather-bound menu, drop a comment if you've ever been the underestimated one, the sister who built something real while everyone celebrated the loud one's mediocrity. Hit subscribe if you want to hear how quiet women handle disrespect when they finally stop being quiet. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't confrontation. It's letting them discover your empire on their own terms. I'm Jamie Marshall, 36 years old, owner of 3 high-end cocktail bars across Texas generating $380,000 in annual profit. I live in Austin, drive a Tesla Model S Plaid, $108,000, paid cash, and employ 42 people across my 3 locations. But for 8 years, I let my family believe I was a struggling bartender barely making rent. It started when I was 25. I'd saved $35,000 working restaurant jobs through college, borrowed another $40,000 from a business loan, and opened my first cocktail bar in downtown Austin, a 1,200 square foot space I renovated myself. I called it Crimson and Oak. Spent 6 months building custom shelves, sourcing rare spirits, training staff. We broke even in year 1. Turned profitable in year 2. By year 3, I was clearing $120,000 annually. My brother Derek, 3 years older, got his MBA around the same time. Cost $60,000, Dad paid $50,000 of it, never asked for repayment. When Derek graduated, Dad hosted a celebration dinner at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. 80 guests. Open bar. A speech about the successful son. When I opened Crimson and Oak 6 months later, I texted the family. Mom replied, "That's nice, honey. When are you getting a real job?" So I stopped telling them. Derek took a middle management position at a pharmaceutical company making $95,000. Decent money. He acted like he was running Fortune 500. Leased a BMW 5 Series he could barely afford, $640 monthly. Posted LinkedIn humble brags weekly. Grateful for another year of leadership and impact. He'd been promoted once in 11 years. Meanwhile, I opened my second bar in San Antonio when I was 29. Third bar in Houston at 32. Combined property value, $2.1 million. But I drove a 2015 Honda Civic with 160,000 miles. Lived in a modest 1-bedroom apartment, $850 a month. Wore jeans from Target and sweaters from Old Navy. My family never questioned how I afforded anything. They just assumed I was barely surviving. Derek's favorite line at family gatherings: "Some people work for tips. Others lead organizations." Dad would nod approvingly. I told myself it didn't matter. That I was building something real while Derek chased titles and debt. That respect would come eventually. I paid for things quietly: Mom's dental work when her insurance lapsed for $1,000. Dad's truck repair, $2,800. Their anniversary trip to Hawaii, $9,000 total. They thought I'd saved tip money for years. I never corrected them. Part of me hoped they'd notice. Ask questions. See me. For 8 years, I showed up to family dinners in my Civic. Listened to Derek talk about his big projects, usually just PowerPoint presentations. Watched Dad beam with pride over Derek's corporate job while my 3 businesses generated more revenue than Derek would make in 4 years. I didn't say anything. I stayed humble. Worked 70-hour weeks building my bars. Hired talented people. Created jobs. Built something that mattered. My staff knew who I was. Industry people knew. I'd been featured in the Austin Business Journal 4 months earlier. 3-time bar owner revolutionizes Austin's cocktail scene. Photo of me behind the bar I'd built, talking about craft cocktails and community. Derek never Googled me. Neither did my parents. They'd decided who I was at 25, and nothing would change their minds. Or so I thought. One evening last fall, Derek invited the family to his new place, a 2-bedroom condo in North Austin. $2,800 a month, but he kept saying my place in a way that implied ownership. He'd invited 3 coworkers too. Wanted an audience. Dinner was catered Italian decent, probably $70 a person. Derek kept refilling wine glasses like he was hosting the Oscars. The wine was Costco Kirkland brand. I know because I'd bought the same bottles for staff meals, $8 each. Around 7:30, after everyone had finished eating, Derek stood up. Clinked his glass with a fork. "I want to thank everyone for coming tonight," he said, grinning. "I have some exciting news to share. I've been promoted to senior manager." Applause from his coworkers. Mom beamed. Dad stood up immediately. "To Derek," he said, raising his glass. "The only son who made something of himself." I sat there, wine glass halfway to my mouth, frozen. Did he really just say that out loud? Derek's promotion was an $8,000 raise. I'd made $32,000 in profit last month. From one location. But Dad was still talking. "Your mother and I are so proud. You've built a real career, son. A real future." Mom added, touching Derek's arm, "We're so lucky. At least one of our kids understands ambition." She didn't look at me when she said it. Didn't need to. Everyone knew who she meant. I'd paid for their Hawaii trip 6 months earlier, first-class tickets, ocean view suite at the Grand Wailea, $9,000 total. They thought I'd scraped together tip money for 2 years. Derek raised his glass toward me. His smile had an edge. "Maybe Jamie can take some notes. Still slinging drinks at 36. He laughed. His coworkers shifted uncomfortably. Dad nodded. "Derek's right, honey. When are you going to grow up and get a career? You're not getting any younger." My hands went cold. That specific kind of cold where you're not shaking, you're too steady. Dangerous steady. 8 years. 8 years of hiding my success, protecting their feelings, hoping they'd respect me anyway. Hoping they'd ask questions. Notice. Care. That hope died right there in Derek's overpriced rental, holding $8 wine while my brother mocked the career I'd built with my own hands. One of Derek's coworkers, a woman named Sarah, late 20s, caught my eye. She looked genuinely uncomfortable. I set down my wine glass carefully. Didn't trust myself to hold it anymore. My voice came out calm. Too calm. "Congratulations, Derek. That's great news." Derek smirked. "Thanks, sis." "You know, if you ever want career advice," Dad interrupted, "Jamie doesn't want advice. She's content where she is. Some people just don't have that drive." 3 of Derek's coworkers were staring at their plates. This was awkward even for them. I stood up. "I should go. Early shift tomorrow." Mom waved dismissively. "Always working. Maybe if you worked smarter instead of harder." I grabbed my jacket. Walked to my Civic parked next to Derek's leased BMW. Sat in the driver's seat for 5 minutes, hands on the wheel, breathing. My phone buzzed. Text from Sarah, Derek's coworker. That was harsh. "You okay?" I replied, "Watch this." Then I opened my contacts. Called my accountant. "I need everything. Business licenses, tax returns, the journal article. Official letterhead. I'll pick it up Monday morning." I drove home in silence. No music. No podcast. Just the sound of Austin traffic and my thoughts getting colder, sharper, more focused. I'd spent 8 years protecting their feelings. Playing small. Hoping quiet success would speak for itself. It didn't. They'd decided I was a failure and nothing would change that narrative unless I forced them to see it. By the time I got home, it was 9:15. I made coffee, didn't matter that it was late. I wouldn't sleep anyway. Opened my laptop at the kitchen table. Started pulling files. First, business licenses. All 3 bars, official Texas Secretary of State documents. Crimson and Oak, established 11 years ago. Midnight Rose in San Antonio, 8 years. The Hudson Room in Houston, for years. Legal proof of ownership, my name printed clearly, Jamie Rose Marshall, sole proprietor. Second, tax returns. I called my accountant, Marcus Chin, even though it was past 9. He answered on the second ring. Jamie, what's wrong? I'd never called him after hours. I need everything, I said. 3 years of tax returns. Profit and loss statements. Balance sheets. Revenue reports. The works. Can you have it ready Monday morning? Silence. Then, what happened? Marcus had handled my books since year 1. He knew my family thought I was broke. I'd told him once, over bourbon after a particularly good quarter. My brother got an $8,000 raise, I said. My father called him the only one who made something of themselves. More silence. I'll have everything printed and bound by 9 a.m. Monday. Official letterhead. Notarized if you want. Please. Third, media coverage. The Austin Business Journal had featured me 4 months earlier. Full-page spread, color photo of me behind the bar at Crimson and Oak, shelves of rare bourbon behind me. Headline, 3-time bar owner revolutionizes Austin's cocktail scene. The article detailed my 11-year journey, revenue figures, 1.8 million combined last year, and my philosophy on craft cocktails and community building. I'd sent the link to my family group chat when it published. No one responded. Not even a congratulations. I downloaded the PDF. High resolution. Sent it to FedEx for printing 5 copies, glossy paper, same-day pickup. Then I Googled myself. Found my business profiles on Yelp, Google Reviews, TripAdvisor. Crimson and Oak, 4.8 stars, 847 reviews. Midnight Rose, 4.7 stars, 612 reviews. The Hudson Room, 4.9 stars, 431 reviews. Combined total, nearly 1,900 reviews calling my bars the best in Texas. I screenshotted everything. Created a folder on my desktop labeled Family Dinner. Added the business licenses, tax returns, journal article, reviews. I opened Excel. Built a spreadsheet. Column 1, date. Column 2, amount I'd given them. Column 3, what they thought it was. The list ran 3 pages. Mom's dental work, $4,000, they thought I'd saved for 8 months. Dad's truck repair, $2,800, they thought I'd gotten a bonus. Christmas gifts, averaging $1,200 annually, they thought I'd budgeted carefully. Their anniversary trip, $9,000, they thought I'd scraped together tip money for 2 years. Total, $43,600 over 8 years. They thought I was broke. I was subsidizing their lives. By midnight, I had everything organized. Printed. Professional. Undeniable. But evidence wasn't enough. I needed a venue. A stage. Somewhere they'd have to confront reality publicly. That's when the idea hit me. Sunday brunch at Crimson and Oak. My flagship location, downtown Austin, the bar I'd built from scratch. They'd never been. Never asked to visit. Didn't even know the name. I'd mentioned it once, years ago. Mom had said, "That's nice, honey," and changed the subject. I texted my general manager, Rafael Santos, family visiting Sunday, 11 a.m. full VIP treatment. Private table. Best menu items. And Raf, they don't know I own this place. They're about to find out. He responded immediately, "Oh girl. I'm here for this. We'll make it perfect, boss." Then I texted my head bartender, Marcus Lee, different Marcus, coincidentally, Sunday morning. My family's coming. They think I'm a bartender. Play along until I give the signal. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. This is going to be legendary. I'll prep the staff. Next, the invitation. I crafted a group text to Mom, Dad, and Derek. Kept it casual. "Hey family, wanna do Sunday brunch? There's this great place in downtown Austin I've been wanting to show you. My treat. 11 a.m. Derek responded first. Sure, I can fit it in. What's the dress code? I smiled. Business casual works. Mom replied, that's sweet, honey. How can you afford brunch for 4? I typed, I've been saving. Didn't send. Deleted it. Sent instead. Don't worry about it. Sunday was 3 days away. I spent Saturday at Crimson and Oak, walking through every detail with Raphael. When they arrive, seat them at table 7 corner booth, full view of the bar and the bourbon wall. Bring out the signature menu, the one with my name embossed on the cover. Make sure Marcus is behind the bar, visible. When the bourbon shipment conversation happens, make it loud enough for them to hear. Raphael grinned. Boss, this is the best front row seat I've had all year. I'd hired Raphael 6 years ago when she was 23, fresh out of hospitality school. Now she managed a bar doing $750,000 in annual revenue. She learned everything here. Built her career at Crimson and Oak. She understood what this meant. Sunday morning arrived cold and clear. November in Austin, 62 degrees, blue sky. I got to Crimson and Oak at 9:30, 2 hours before my family was scheduled to arrive. The place was already prepped. Raphael had the staff running table drills. Marcus was polishing glassware behind the 16-foot walnut bar I designed myself, built with a contractor 11 years ago when this space was just exposed brick and potential. I changed in my office, 2nd floor, overlooking 6th Street. Put on a charcoal Armani blazer, tailored, $1,200. Cream silk blouse. Black fitted trousers. Italian leather heels. I looked at myself in the mirror. For 8 years, I'd hidden this version of myself. Played down. Stayed small. Today, they'd see who I actually was. At 10:55, Raphael texted. They just parked. Derek drove. BMW. I smiled. $640 a month in lease payments. I owned my Tesla outright. Waited 1 minute. 2. Then walked downstairs. They were at the entrance. Mom in a floral dress, Dad in khakis and a polo, Derek in an ill-fitting blazer that pulled at the shoulders. He was talking loudly about his promotion to the hostess, a sharp 24-year-old named Katerina who'd worked brunch shift for 3 years. She saw me approach and her eyes went wide, suppressing a grin. I walked up behind them. Good morning. They turned. Mom looked surprised. Jamie, you look so nice. What are you doing here? I smiled. Calm. Cold. Welcome to Crimson and Oak. I'm Jamie Marshall, owner. Silence. Complete, absolute silence. I could hear jazz playing softly over the speakers. Someone laughed at a table across the room. Derek spoke first. You, what? I extended my hand to Katerina. Table 7, please. She grabbed 4 leather-bound menus custom-made, burgundy leather with gold embossing on the cover, Crimson and Oak. Proprietor, Jamie Marshall. She handed them to my family. Dad stared at his menu like it was written in hieroglyphics. Mom's mouth hung slightly open. We walked to table 7. Corner booth, red leather, brass fixtures, full view of the bar and the wall of bourbon bottles behind it, 340 different bottles, ranging from $30 to $12,000. Derek sat down heavily. You own this. His voice was quiet. I nodded. Opened it 11 years ago. 25 years old. Did most of the renovation myself. Raphael approached, impeccable in a black vest and crisp white shirt. Good morning, Ms. Marshall. Coffee for the table? I nodded. Please. And Raphael, bring the Sumatra blend. She smiled. Of course, boss. Boss. I watched Derek's face process that word. Watched it sink in. Dad cleared his throat. Jamie, I don't understand. You're a bartender. I leaned back. I was a bartender. 11 years ago. Now I own 3 bars. This one, Midnight Rose in San Antonio, and the Hudson Room in Houston. Combined revenue last year, $1.8 million. This location alone generated $750,000. Mom tried to recover. Why didn't you tell us? The question I'd been waiting for. I met her eyes. You never asked. In 8 years, you never once asked how my work was going. Never visited. Never Googled my name. I sent you the Austin Business Journal article 4 months ago, full-page feature. You didn't respond. What article? Dad asked. I pulled my phone from my jacket pocket, opened the PDF, showed him the screen. Color photo of me behind this very bar, headline clear, 3-time bar owner revolutionizes Austin's cocktail scene. Dad took the phone, zoomed in. Read. His face went pale. Derek was silent, just staring at the bourbon wall. Then Marcus, my head bartender, walked over. Morning, boss. Quick question, the new bourbon shipment arrived yesterday. Pappy Van Winkle, 23-year, 6 bottles. $12,000 order, like you approved. Want me to add it to the reserve list? I nodded. Please. And Marcus, let's feature the 15-year on special this week. $40 a pour. He grinned. You got it. Walked away. Derek's hands were flat on the table. His knuckles were white. $12,000, he said quietly. For bourbon. I nodded. We move high-end spirits. Last month's total liquor sales, $68,000. 6 regulars at the bar, Sunday brunch crowd, industry people, restaurant owners saw me and waved. Jamie, good to see you, one called out. I waved back. Mom watched this interaction. Watched people treat me with respect. Familiarity. Watched me belong somewhere that had nothing to do with her. Dad set down his menu. This is really yours? I pulled out my business license. Kept a copy in my jacket specifically for today. Handed it to him. Texas state seal, official signature, my name clearly listed, Jamie Rose Marshall, sole proprietor, Crimson and Oak, LLC. Established 11 years ago. The brunch lasted 45 minutes. They barely ate. Katerina brought out our signature French toast, bourbon maple syrup I developed myself, recipe featured in Food and Wine 3 years ago. Smoked salmon Benedict. Cast iron cinnamon rolls. Food worth $40 a plate. Derek pushed his around with a fork. Dad kept asking questions. How did you afford to open 3 bars? I explained the first loan $40,000, paid back in 3 years. The second location, financed through profits from Crimson and Oak. The third, same strategy. No help, I said. Built it all myself. The contrast hung in the air. Dad had given Derek $50,000 for his MBA. Given me nothing. Expected nothing. Mom tried a different approach. We just didn't know you were doing so well. I sipped my coffee, single origin Ethiopian from a roaster I'd partnered with, exclusive supply deal. I paid for your Hawaii trip 6 months ago. $9,000. You thought I'd saved tip money. Her face flushed. We thought you were being generous. I was, I said. But you also thought I was broke. Those aren't mutually exclusive in your mind, apparently. Derek finally spoke. Why hide it? The question I'd asked myself for 8 years. I didn't hide it, I said carefully. I just stopped volunteering information after you made it clear my work didn't matter. When I opened this place at 25, Mom asked when I'd get a real job. So I stopped telling you things. After brunch, they left quietly. No dramatic scene. Derek shook my hand limply. Mom hugged me, whispered, we should talk soon. Dad looked around one more time at the exposed brick, the custom lighting, the bar I'd built, and said, I'm proud of you, honey. 8 years too late. But the exposure had just started. Within 3 days, extended family knew everything. My aunt called, your mother said you own bars? Plural. I confirmed. She paused. And they didn't know? Her tone carried the judgment I'd been waiting for. My cousin posted on Facebook, just learned my cousin Jamie owns 3 successful bars in Texas. Why are we just finding out? 12 family members commented. Derek stopped posting on LinkedIn. His usual weekly humble brags silent. I checked his profile 4 days after our brunch. Last post, 2 weeks old. Before his big promotion announcement. Before he learned his $8,000 raise was less than my weekly profit from 1 location. His coworkers Googled me. Sarah, the woman from dinner who'd texted me, sent a message. Holy shit. I found your journal article. Your brother mocked you? After you built all this. I didn't respond. Didn't need to. The story was telling itself. Mom called 14 times over 2 weeks. I answered twice. The first time, "Can we come visit the other locations?" I said, "They're businesses, not tourist attractions." The second time, "Can we celebrate your success properly? Maybe a family dinner?" I paused. Let the silence stretch. "You had 8 years to celebrate. You chose mockery." She started crying. I hung up. Dad showed up at Crimson and Oak one evening, 3 weeks after our brunch. Walked in during happy hour. Asked Katerina for a table. She texted me I was in my office doing payroll. I came downstairs. He was sitting at the bar, looking uncomfortable. "Honey," he said. I wanted to apologize. I stood next to him. Didn't sit. "Okay." He waited for more. I didn't give it. "Can I get a family discount?" he asked. Tried to smile. Make it a joke. I called over Marcus. "This is my father. He pays full price." Marcus nodded professionally. "Of course, boss. What can I get you, sir?" Dad's face went red. He ordered a beer, $8. Drank it in 15 minutes. Left a $2 tip. Never came back. Derek's BMW got repossessed 6 weeks later. Heard it from my cousin. He'd missed 3 payments. Downgraded to a used Toyota Camry. His LinkedIn profile now listed him as seeking new opportunities. The pharmaceutical company had restructured. His senior manager position eliminated. The promotion he'd celebrated lasted 7 months. 6 months after our Sunday brunch, I heard Derek moved back in with our parents. Lost his condo, couldn't afford $2,800 monthly rent on unemployment. The severance from the pharmaceutical company ran out. He'd been applying to jobs for weeks. No offers. Middle management positions were scarce, and his resume showed one company, 11 years, 1 promotion. Not competitive. My cousin Rachel told me the details over drinks at Midnight Rose. She'd stayed neutral throughout the family drama, which I respected. "Your mom's struggling," Rachel said. "Derek's in their guest room. Doesn't pay rent. She's cooking his meals like he's 16 again." I sipped my bourbon. "And my father?" Rachel shook her head. Disappointed, I think. But won't say it out loud. Derek got a job eventually. Customer service representative at a tech startup. $45,000 annually, half his pharmaceutical salary. He works from my parents' guest room, takes support calls about password resets. No more LinkedIn posts. No more humble brags. His profile picture is 3 years old, from when he thought his career trajectory was infinite. Last I heard from Rachel, Derek mentions me sometimes. Asks if I'm still doing the bar thing. Like owning 3 profitable businesses is a phase. Like I'll grow out of entrepreneurship and get a real job like him. Rachel said she corrected him once. "Jamie made more last month than you made all last year." Derek went quiet. Mom calls occasionally. I answer maybe 1 in 5 times. Keep conversations brief. She wants to repair things, but doesn't understand what needs repairing. She'll say, "We were proud of you the whole time." I'll say, "You called Derek the only one who made something of themselves." She'll reply, "We didn't mean it like that." I'll say, "How did you mean it?" Silence. Then, "Can we move past this?" But there's nothing to move past. They revealed who they were. I believed them. Derek showed me that mediocrity with confidence beats excellence with humility, in their eyes at least. Dad showed me that money invested in the successful son is a gift, but money given to the failure is charity. Mom showed me that asking for a real job means she never saw my real work. The destruction wasn't something I caused. I didn't sabotage Derek's career or turn my parents into people who judged worth by job titles. I just stopped protecting them from the consequences of their choices. Stopped hiding my success to make their narrative work. Stopped shrinking so they could feel big. Derek's downfall was his own mediocrity catching up with him. The job loss, the repossession, the move back home, that's what happens when you build a life on debt and arrogance instead of skill and humility. I didn't destroy Derek. I just stopped pretending he was impressive. Today, 2 years after that Sunday brunch, I'm expanding to Dallas. 4th location, 1,700 square feet in Deep Ellum, projected to generate $500,000 in annual revenue. I signed the lease 3 weeks ago. Construction starts next month. Opening date, late spring. I'm hiring a dedicated manager, salary $75,000 plus profit sharing, and building a team of 12 staff members.